The story begins with Ryu Hanbin as he fights a level 4 hell dog. The fight is intense, and he is sent flying into a rock wall by the dog. However, flipping the bird on him, Ryu stabs the dog and defeats it. He looks at his stats, which first indicate that he has progressed up a level, but soon they give an error. He goes back to level 1 and is stuck there. Hanbin is furious and wishes to leave. It is then shown that 10 years pass, and with each passing year he fights multiple monsters, making him more and more strong. Meanwhile, in a town, a lady is shown killing a blonde guy. The lady's accomplice warns her of getting caught, and they are seen leaving the alley after murdering him. They claim they need to find the man who came to this world just like them. It is then explained that this fantasy world Hanbin was in is called Thela-Ratna. We see Hanbin fighting a level 1 hell dog just as he enters this world. He is confused about how he got here. Just then, a gold card appears in front of him. It explains that he can gather points by defeating monsters and leveling up. Next, in a flashback, Ryu is seen waking up after being discharged from the army. He continues with his aimless life in a very lazy fashion. Suddenly, he gets surrounded by black smog and transported to a space with many others like him. A voice then echoes in the halls, and Ryu is then dropped into the other world, but the moderator makes a mistake with his guidelines. Back in the present, Ryu bludgeons the hell dog with a stone. He is then presented with the offer to end his life as he has a less than 5% chance of survival, but he refuses. He then goes on to select a class but isn't able to do so due to the error. He ends up in the warrior class by default. Thus, starts his painful afterlife of leveling up. Next, we see 7 days have passed in Thela-Ratna. Hanbin learns more about the level system and how this world operates. He sees the level of hell dogs also increase as he kills them. While fighting a level 2 hell dog, he realizes he can only use the skill stab efficiently. After killing the dog, he eats its meat to survive and wonders about other candidates. A guide then pops up again, prompting that he can leave this area once he reaches level 5. Hanbin works hard to kill the dogs while gaining new skills, such as side slash and vertical slash. On the 27th day, he finally defeated the level 4 dog and was ready to level up. Then, the error occurred, and he was back on level 1. But the dogs kept getting stronger. 7 years have now passed, and Hanbin kept killing dogs in the meantime, but his level was still stuck. Just then, a huge bone dog showed up, and he was now prepared to fight it. The moderator is also shown looking at the world of Ryu Hanbin, thinking it was disposed of. Next, we see despite his being level 1, he fights valiantly, keeps defeating them, and increases his stats while keeping his skills constant for 10 consecutive years without aging. Ryu wakes up and hallucinates about getting back home, almost pushing the button to end his life. He then realizes he isn't in the human world and moves on to fight another monster. We see he had built a house in 3 years, but suddenly, a hell dog destroyed it. Ryu cuts the dog's hand in rage. The dog used a fire attack on him, but Ryu took it head on. He defeated the dog using his stab skill. Meanwhile, in the operator's room, a shadow-like creature is distraught over what to do with Ryu, since he cannot directly kill him, but still wonders how he's able to survive. Next, we see Ryu wakes up the next day and realizes that he has been transported to the northern continent of Ratna, and that he has finally leveled up to 5. He jumps in the water excited as he has been stuck in one place for many years. The guide then informs him of his final mission, which is to kill one of the 6 goddesses of Ratna and gain one of the following rewards. 1. Gain eternal youth and immortality. 2. Go back to Earth with your stats intact. 3. Fulfill 3 wishes. Just then, a dragon appeared. Ryu decided to fight it and overpowered it easily. We then get to know the story of the dragon, whose name is Ephor. She explains that she is not a dragon but a wyvern. She was exiled from the human lands and has since been living here in the forest, where she encounters adventures. She then tells him that the Gralut kingdom is destroyed, and the new kingdom is called Exrad. He then gets to know that all the otherworldly beings have been destroyed by the 4 heroes of the continent, and that if his identity is revealed, he too would be a target. He then goes to the nearby city of Onpru and declares his wish to become a hunter. In a flashback, the wyvern can be seen giving Ryo clothes and helping him understand the basics of the world he has been transported into. Ryu had also decided to change his name to Eric. When he claimed he wanted to become a hunter, everyone readied their weapons thinking he is an otherworldly person. But when the stone showed he is on level 5, everyone laughed at him. A hunter named Laude advised him to know his place when Ryu said he wanted to go to the dungeon. He got the beginner's hunter badge. The receptionist advises Ryu to join Lord's Guild, and Laude agrees to admit him. Just then, we see a man named Burkham admiring the body of Ryu. He asked him to join his party. Ryu agreed, and it is shown that Burkham's party was number 1 in the town. As they fought monsters, Ryu wasn't allowed to fight due to his low level. The strongest monster there was defeated by Ryu just by throwing rocks. Burkham mentioned that his team will never go to the dungeon as it is dangerous. Ryu became concerned that he will not gain any experience here and left with an excuse of practicing swordsmanship. He hears a monster cry and jumped towards it, only to find a naked person standing there in the forest. It was the mage member of Lauda's party. He became suspicious of Ryu, and just then Lauda appeared. It is shown Lauda had a misunderstanding of assuming the mage is a woman in her party. He got ready to attack Ryu, and just as he leaped forward, Ryu bowed down a little to apologize, but in mid-air, the handle of the sword hit Lauda in his main part. Balls shattered. Ryu took him to Burkham, where his daughter healed him, but he was in immense pain. 3 months go by, and it was heard Lauda had gone to the dungeon to heal his injury. Ryu decided to go to the dungeon as well, but encountered level 31 monsters named Tatiros. He destroyed them and found a portal to the dungeon. He enters the dungeon. Meanwhile, a party of hunters inside the dungeon is seen struggling against the Tatiros. Just then, they are all saved by Lauda. They move forward, but suddenly the dungeon shakes. The party leaves Lauda as they think they will only be a burden. Several Tatiros show up. Lauda is scared, but the Tatiros don't attack him. They were just running away from something. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the dungeon, Ryu had easily defeated all the Tatiros and found an artifact. The one who wore it could shoot fireballs. Ryu now has another ability. Ryu was not able to use it since it required the hunter to be level 31. Just then, a door opened in front of him. Ryu thought it led to the boss room. He sees another artifact. Just as he grabbed it, the boss tentacle beholder appeared. Along with it, Lauda also arrived in the room. Lauda started to attack Ryu, but he kept dodging, and the boss was getting hilariously hurt in the meantime. The tentacle beholder then took Lauda as a hostage and turned him into a mid-level monster. Lauda in his monster form now attacked Ryu. Ryu easily defeated the monster with just the air pressure from his sword. He obliterates the monster and checks for his experience. He was surprised after seeing 100,000 points. However, he now needed 54.5 billion points to level up. He was disappointed. Burkham and his party along with Rai now head to the town. As the news of the dungeon clearing spread, the town became empty in fear of the heresy inquisitors. It is explained that they inquire hunters for the otherworldly persons. Next, we see Ryu encounter a heresy inquisitor at a shop, and he can't seem to access his level and species. Ryu luckily evades all of the inquisitor's questions. He also got lucky due to the fact he was only level 5. Just when the inquisitor was about to leave, Ryu dropped the artifact he got from the dungeon. The inquisitor then questioned about it but let him go because of his level. He also gave Ryu some advice. Just then, Lauda's party member, the mage Atis, showed up. He said to the inquisitor that Ryu was from his party and the artifact was his. Just when the inquisitor was about to leave, he asked them both about the ability of the artifact. Ryu said fire and Atis said electric. The inquisitor then asked them both to come with him. We see next that Ryu decided to tell the truth about clearing the dungeon. Just as he said this, Lauda entered with his party. It is shown that he claimed he was the one who cleared the dungeon. The inquisitor arrested him and took him to an unknown location. Before going, he apologized to Ryu and gave him a lot of money as compensation. Burkham and his party are seen worried as the guild was destroyed. Just then, someone enters. It was Atis, carrying all of Ryu's stuff. Ryu had left all the money and items for the party and asked Atis to tell Burkham that he had quit. It is then shown that the Inquisitor's advice was that whoever is associated with an otherworldly person gets hurt too. This is why Ryu left the party. He then encounters some normal people from the town. Amongst them, an old man caught his interest and he claimed Ryu must be from Rock Mountains. The old man asks him to work for him. Ryu then starts working for the association, demolishing old homes in the city and relocating the people to new homes. He earns good money through this. However, after working for 6 months, he seemed frustrated. He heads to the old man and asks him how long he has to work under him to finally know what he knows. It is then revealed that the old man is also an otherworldly person. Just then, they are visited by someone. We then see it was Atis. He then reveals that he is there to offer Eric a job which is objected to by the old man. Atis then tries to explain the condition he and Eric met in, but the old man completely misunderstands it. He then kicks Eric out thinking he used Atis's body and commands him to help him. They proceed to the forest where they collect samples. After Atis excessively overburns the forest, he then mentions that he is a dragon hunter, sparking Eric's interest as he thinks defeating a dragon would help him level up. Eric then mentions Aether, but Atis laughs as he knows wyverns don't talk. They talk a bit more and he tries to convince him to return to hunting. but Eric grows suspicious of Atis and asks him why he should trust him. The talk takes a wild turn as Artie stands up and fires his wand at Eric.
What happens next? Subscribe for part 2.